Afternoon.
Yep. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Good Luck and or Blame Everhate Soul Blazer race. We're still getting set up on Genja's end, so we're going to take this time to talk a little bit and build up some Soul Blazer hype.
Oh yeah.
I want to make sure I got the chat open, so anybody asking questions.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and introduce our runners of this game. We have Genja. Genya. I see Genja.
I made him say that.
We have Stinger, and we have the Hulk, who, by the way, just not to put any pressure on the other two runners, took world record this morning.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah, don't worry. I did the same for the Terranigma race and train wreck at the race. So it's fine.
Before we start, do any of our runners have anything they would like to say before we kick off?
I guess not.
I volunteer Stinger. Stinger, what do you have to say about this game?
Oh, this is gonna be terrible. Basically the reason we're doing this is because this was Everhate's first speed game, and as pretty much everybody knows by now, we lost him a couple weeks ago. And this is really the best way we could think of to remember him and the influence he had on the speedrunning community.
Again, for everybody that is not aware, this is a open invitation race. So anybody that has this game that wishes to join in, please feel free. You can hop up on the SRL race, have a lot of fun. It's a fantastic speed game.
Yeah, I'd just like to add something before we get started. I didn't really know Everhate personally, but he was extremely influential in this game for sure. I know he was a really funny guy. He always had made a lot of jokes and stuff. He was really good company, we can say so. And also, well, he did something that nobody did on this game. He ran low percent, which is extremely impressive if you don't know about that. Low percent is complete the game without any healing items, any of the non-strictly necessary armor, and that's absolutely crazy. That means no magic armor, no light armor, and what else? I'm not sure. No healing, no medical herb, and that's just absolutely crazy. It's something I've never done, and I don't think I will ever do. And he did that. So yeah, props to you, Everhate.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about Munis being all crazy and suggesting all those. And I mean, half the time we thought he was suggesting it as a joke, but the difference between suggesting it and actually doing it is pretty incredible. And, well, he did. I mean, most of the things that you're going to see today are based on Everhate and Rafe's original routes, but back when, the mid-2000s, when people did nothing but single segment races, or single segment runs, Everhate and guys like him were the first to kind of go towards the RTI, like the death abuse type races, and that's what he brought to Everhate, or to Soul Blazer, to make it tougher. And you definitely see the difficulty by death abuse, because you don't get the gem management that you would, and he just constantly pushed this game.
Yeah, I recently took up this game part of the 12-hour challenge, and it was a combination of Stinger, the Hulk, and Everhate's tutorial video that he made a 12-hour while back that I was able to pick up this game and do pretty relatively well, considering how difficult this game could be as a speedrun.
Yeah, his boss tutorials conned me into trying this run, and before now, it's one of my go-tos. At least once a week, I have to run this game. But
it looks like everything is just about good to go. How are we, Vic?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We've got one person left to ready up in the SRL race chat.
I don't know who that might be. I still just want to take the opportunity just to also tell that Everhate being probably the reason why I actually picked up Soul Blazer. I mean, it was one of my first speed games in general, and it's just great to remember that he was super supportive about everything and everyone, and I don't know, he was just he really made sure to always support anyone who was trying to get in touch with Soul Blazer or stuff like that. So I think this is a really great opportunity to remember him for the amazing person that he was, and yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, we also have a bunch of really nice info, as well as a link to this memorial service that Everhate that is being made for Everhate. I'm sure somebody will be able to get Moobot to link all that info. If you have anything to help with that and wish to, go right ahead. I highly encourage it.
yeah, any help to his family would be greatly appreciated. And that said, that this whole race is essentially our community's memorial to him. So anybody in the chat that may have had some contact with Everhate, Deuce, if you're out there, maybe share some stories too. Because some of you were lucky enough to meet him in person, and I heard he was even better in person.
Alright, now that we've got all that stuff said and out of the way, I guess we can go ahead and... we're waiting for the ready up. I forget, SRL.
Well, if everyone's ready, I could ready up. I guess then the race is gonna start.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Alright, cool.
Gentlemen, good luck, and/or blame Everhate.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck to you as well.
Here we go.
I guess we can go ahead and start things off by maybe explaining what is the basic mechanics of Soul Blazer for those who are not familiar with this game at all. Driscollad, what's the first thing that comes to your mind with this game?
The very first thing is your management of north, south, east, west, and how you're going to mitigate the monster layers. For example, you're seeing on all three right away here. The very first monster layer, they want to face south and be one tile north, and the reason for it is you're mitigating monster movement. By standing there, they will not move, and now you can just stick sword out and go to town. You'll see further on with other monster layers that they'll have to manipulate monster movement, and partially in trying to get as many monsters together as possible, because it's all based on when the monster layer closes. So the quicker you can get it done, the better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to not die. So you have to manipulate the monsters into coming to you in certain tiles so that you're safe. and that's really the essence of this run.
If I was to compare this to a much more modern game, I'd compare it to Dark Cloud, where the world essentially was destroyed, and you have to go around killing all these monsters and destroying their lairs, and each lair you destroyed restores a piece of the world, either in the dungeon that you're in itself, or in the main town areas. Like a building will be restored, people will suddenly pop in again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Stinger with insane gem luck already. That's great.
Yeah, I got a big gem drop.
You'll
Nice.
see, this is something that Hulk sort of expanded on Everhate's original. These two monster layers can be destroyed almost simultaneously by trying to stand up on the very top of the fence there and manipulating them over to you. The quicker that you can get this second one gone, the better. Because once the monster layer closes, then you can eventually step on it. But if you leave one monster alive and then move on, and perhaps step on a different monster layer, that entire first monster layer will respawn with all enemies. So you don't want that.
Yeah. As per usual is what you would think with this game. They're going after very particular monster layers, the ones that open up the path in the dungeon to continue on, and the layers that are required to make certain plot-relevant buildings and characters to show up in the towns. There's also a couple chests that will spawn this way as well. Some of the more typically the chest will contain key items, or some will actually contain gems, which is this game's resource for magic. And magic in this game is incredibly powerful. The starting spell they currently have, Fireball, is pretty self-explanatory. One of the more unique things about this game is how magic is cast. You got this rotating soul orb around the main character, and the fireball will be fired in the direction from the soul orb, depending on where you're facing, and the fireballs pierces through enemies. Because of that, magic is had a unique timing aspect to it, and on top of that, it's also really powerful. You can kill a lot of enemies really fast with magic, so the runners are going to be abusing this whenever they can.
Another important fact, you will see on Stinger's stream soon that magic also it does not depreciate. So when you shoot a fireball, it stays on screen, and whatever it comes in contact with will cause the exact same amount of damage. So you'll see if you have a lineup of 6 or 7 enemies, you can just get rid of all of them with one shot. Later on, when you see the light arrow, it becomes much more prevalent and much more powerful, but it costs so many gems that you have to manage your MP, of course, and that's going to come into play very, very, very hard in St. Ellis.
Yeah, one of the big things that the runners recently just did is a death warp. Death warping in this game is fairly obvious. You die, you get taken back to the master's room, essentially, where you can then go back to the main town and do the plot-relevant stuff. But the main thing here is that essentially the death penalty in this game is you lose all your gems. So the run is very optimized to where there are times where they're going to try desperately not to die unintentionally, because losing gems in certain spots is horrible.
Yeah, there's very little RNG in this game, so when you do have an unintentional death, really you're backtracking, and considering this game doesn't have a significant chunk of RNG, any backtracking is losing time, and you're looking at a 2-minute window between probably these 3 runners. We're in for quite a treat on this race to begin with.
the only real major RNG that comes in this game is the gem drops. Enemies will drop between a single gem, a semi-large gem, which I believe restores 5, and then a large gem, which restores 10, I believe?
That's correct. You will see, like on Stinger's stream just now.
Gem this early on, it's very, very good.
It's quite rare on the first couple worlds to get a 10 drop. You'll see as you go on in the game, the higher the experience, and the experience is very, very exponential in this game, which you'll see right at the end. But the gem drops are too, and as you get into enemies that drop 2,000 or 3,000 experience, they almost always drop 10 gem. But right now, quite rare. And when you're losing 4 gems per fireball, you run out of magic very quickly. He's like, you'll see on Stingers, he's already out of magic. He can't rely on the fireball anymore. So now he has to come in and use physical.
Yeah, one thing to also mention with leveling up in this game, leveling up doesn't increase your damage. Leveling up restores all your HP and gives you another unit of health.
Yeah,
this actually comes in a really big play later because there are going to be times where they're going to level up at a very specific moment, and it's very important because they want all that health.
There's quite a interesting mechanics in these games. For this particular game, it's you can stick your sword out and crab walk, and when you have your sword out, it only does your attack power for damage, but when you swing your sword, it does the attack power plus the weapon's attack power. So, unfortunately, when you also hold your sword out, it does damage on every single frame. So when you do get into boss fights, it's quite often much more efficient to just stab instead of swinging your sword. But then you also must move along with the bosses, like you'll see on the next world, which can be quite difficult.
What else as I was thinking of here? Yes, one of the things they did pick up along the way here is the Dream Rod. One of the things you can do in this game is, with the Dream Rod, if something is sleeping, and I mean just about anything, including a flower, if it's asleep, you can use the Dream Rod to enter its dream. This is a very quirky game.
There's someone, Sasupi in chat. Yes, I believe it's every even level raises your attack, and every odd level raises your defense, but only to a certain point. We'll talk about that later. But
you really don't.
Quintet was.
It's the contrary, actually. I think.
Quintet's interesting when they have quite the sense of humor in their leveling systems, as you'll see later.
Alright, Lahulk is entering the last major part of the first act of this game. This is the painting world. The painting world has a couple of really kind of tricky setups, in my opinion. Particularly, the second set of layers you have to deal with is very kind of... it's hard to time it just right with both lining up your fireball shot and not taking too much damage from the torches.
Yeah, Hulk, in typical Hulk fashion, smashed it. Stinger quite quick through the area.
It's very easy to take too much damage in this area and consequently die as well. A lot of the enemies here are doing 2 to 3 units of damage to you.
You'll see Genyo opted to go physical through the entire area. So the other difficult part of routing the game is your soul or the magician's soul that circles around you, well, he circles at a constant pace, and depending on your timing to get to a certain event, you might have to hold off and wait for his rotation to come around, just like you saw right beside the treasure chest. If you time it properly, you can have him perfectly in position when you need to shoot your magic off. Otherwise, you may have to delay a split second or maybe even longer.
Alright. Yeah, the first boss of this place is pretty self-explanatory. One interesting thing to note about the first boss, and this gets into the whole differences between the Japanese version and the English version. The English version, this boss got a major increase in difficulty. The center, I wouldn't say escalator, but what's the word I'm looking for?
They're very much like conveyor belts up and
Yeah,
up and
conveyor
down.
belts. Yeah, the conveyor belt in the middle of the boss arena isn't there. It's just a normal platform. You literally just walk straight forward, get into the boss's face, and God forbid, please don't forget to equip the medical herb.
The problem is I did equip the medical herb.
Just there's a very fine line. It's about 3 pixels that you have to stay below, because if you make physical contact with him, you'll actually take more damage, and then it takes you outside the damage window. You're taking damage on purpose there, and with the medical herb, you have just enough time to kill him before he kills you. Just like a good old-fashioned SNES boss fight, but in that he just got a little too high.
Yeah, it's a pretty painfully slow fight without a medical herb.
There we go. Well done.
Alright. Over in the next act of the game, Greenwood, it has some of the more annoying enemies to deal with. I particularly despise the bush enemies that have these long vine hands. Get really, really messed up. Because of how medical herbs in this game works, there's going to be a lot of time where there's going to be enemies that are just going to plow on through and just take that damage and just let the medical herb take care of them.
So for anybody watching Stinger's stream right now, this is how you're supposed to fight them, and this is how we all did back in the day.
Yeah, it's a pretty painfully slow fight without a medical herb.
There we go. Well done.
Alright. Over in the next act of the game, Greenwood, it has some of the more annoying enemies to deal with. I particularly despise the bush enemies that have these long vine hand things that come out of them. When they have their hands sticking out, they're invincible. And on top of that, they can have very kind of erratic movement patterns as well.
This is some of the small RNG in the game. It's actually quite if you see on Hulk's stream when he hung around for a little bit there, just to get you need to be on screen to get some of these enemies to come out, because there's 2 different types of monster layers. There's ones that are conditional, meaning you have to kill the previous enemy before the next one spawns, or they have time, where they will come out at intervals, but they must be on screen. So you'll see him hang out just for a little bit extra so that the 3rd one comes out, and then he has a moment to try to line all 3 of them up. But with those invisibility frames, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, the other kind of annoying enemy that they're going to come across in this act is the teleporting lizards. These guys are probably some of the most random enemies to deal with. The worst is going to be in the fire temple, in this one particular corner. It's hard to describe exactly how the AI works, but in terms of just what they do, they teleport like 4 tiles away, and it's very important that the lizards go in a particular direction, or else they just start to wander off, and you don't want to go chasing after them either, because there's gonna be more spawning from the lair, and it's in an area of the game. The Fire Temple has a lot of damage boosting, so you can't afford to take any damage from these enemies.
Yeah, without having the proper health walking into the damage boosting areas, you can lose upwards of 30 seconds just waiting for the cycle, so that you have no choice because you'll die otherwise.
There is a piece of equipment that you can get in this game that essentially negates any type of lava floors, essentially. But the runners obviously ignore that because it's way out of the way to get.
Yeah, it's ice armor requires you have to go into a dream to open up the chamber for it, so you lose much more time than you would gain by picking it up.
Yeah, but if I recall, I remember when I was talking with Stinger about some of the more difficult areas of this game. The Fire Temple is probably one of the more difficult ones to deal with. Again, just all the damage boosting you have to do to not have to lose 30 seconds. And the lizards. I hate those lizards.
The lizards, they're extremely annoying. The gauntlet room, if you will, where there's multiple monster layers you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Some of them are the teleporting lizards, and they really aggravate you.
One other thing you'll notice with the positioning, in regards to your sword swing, the back end of your sword, where your sword comes to a stop at the end of your swing, that particular does more damage because the blade stays on screen for just a little bit longer. So you'll often see themselves positioning themselves in such a way so that the enemy is always constantly getting hit with the end of their swing.
You see Hulk dealing with the first of the teleporting lizard jerks.
Unfortunately, I'm watching with a delay, and I just saw the Hulk got that amazing lizard teleporting luck.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I won't lie.
For anyone not aware, Hulk went low in his practice leading into this race. And the last time that happened with Terranigma, he blew up on the race. That doesn't seem to be the case today.
Alright. One other thing that probably is one of the most important things to this run is they've recently acquired is the Light Arrow spell. The Light Arrow spell is the best spell in the game, hands down. It's
the only
very low cost compared to the other more powerful spells. This one uses 8 gems per cast, I believe.
Yes.
And on top of that, it fires in multiple directions, can hits multiple times, and just generally gets better as you go along through the game, because you're going to acquire things that will give you a higher chance to get more gems, and a suit of armor that cuts gem cost in half. If it wasn't for the fact that the final boss required a very specific magic in order to even damage it, I would use the Light Arrow spell.
Stinger having a good first lizards. You'll see through that section the Stinger just went through, the smallest amount of damage that you can possibly take helps set up all the damage boosting for the next area. And if you can get through here only taking a couple hits, then you can just go for it in the next area. Otherwise, you have to be a little safer. You only get the one medical herb refill. It's auto-use item, and you only get one until you pick up another. But you can never have two.
Yeah, it's one of the more difficult parts of the game as a whole is that you can't. There's only just medical herbs. There is no other form of healing in this game other than simply leveling up. One thing they are gonna do here, because they do take a lot of damage, is they're gonna destroy a monster lair coming up shortly, where they open up a shortcut and it takes them back to the Master's Chambers, and the Master's Chambers restores all HP while you're in there.
Something that slowly evolved from Everhate's original route was you saw some of them take care of that monster lair when they first entered this area. That was the 3 bushes. If you can happen to get it as you're walking by, and there's 3 of them, they all come out on a timer. If you can get them all before moving on, then the monster lair will be there for you to step on, but otherwise you have to refight all 3 of them when you come back here.
It's actually Everhate who found that. He was the first one who added that to the route.
Alright. So we're coming up to the final area of Greenwood, which is the Light Temple. One of the things the game expected you to do, because part of the temple is completely dark, is there's this mole that you can talk to, and he's like, "Oh, I'm actually a disciple of the Master," or something similar to that effect, and he will give you an ability that creates a light source from your soul orb. There's several moments in this game where the game has these really passive abilities to help you see or help you not take damage from a certain thing that are completely ignored in this run.
Well, I just had an unfortunate side effect from dying to the first boss. My item cursor was not on the medical herb like I thought it was. So when I went to take the medical herb refill in the fire shot, I just died instead.
Oh, that
come on!
muscle memory coming back to haunt you.
That's really bad.
I don't know how many runs I've lost in St. Ellis when I accidentally have the medical herb highlighted when I don't want it and I want a death ward. That can kill a run.
I'm sorry for you. That's really terrible.
The not so terrible news is that it won't take them too long. It'll be, unfortunately a minute loss, but it doesn't end the run.
Yeah, it's not like he has to go back and re-kill all the monster lairs again. Those are still all dealt with. It's just a lot of walking. A lot of crab walking.
That's okay. Hulk's gonna get
Don't
16
worry,
dives.
Don't worry, I accidentally picked up the soul.
I
I talked to them all, so that's okay.
So you'll get to see what the Soul of Light does in Jenya's streams.
I don't think I've ever talked to that. I don't know why I did, but I just thought I would make things interesting.
I had it as a donation incentive when I did the run for C4L, and
Yeah, I thought we had that here as well.
It was an ongoing donation incentive, so somebody bid to get rid of them afterwards. So after the first 2, that was it. But it's an interesting mechanic. You have like in the Castle Magrid, you see invisible pathways and treasure chests and everything. In St. Ellis, in Durian, he protects you against volcano lava coming down.
Yeah,
And
that one would be really nice sometimes, because we'll get to the volcano when we get to the volcano, because it can
yes, it can be quite difficult because you take damage for no reason other than being on a tile at the wrong time.
Yeah, I would honestly say the third act of the game, if you are still learning this one, is arguably the hardest to learn. It's just the deaths and the gen count are so important. You'll see exactly why later. But for now, we're coming up. I believe we're coming up to the second boss of the game. The boss that, if you've ever played this game casually, you'll remember it as that boss.
The hardest boss.
Yeah, the 3 heads. One of the things that you're going to just be like, oh, I wish I knew I could do that, is the heads are very manipulatable, because they will always act in a fashion based on your location.
Their movement patterns are completely dependent on your movement and your current location on tiles. You'll see in Hulk's right now, as long as he stands in the 1/4 tile off, it will constantly follow him in that pattern. This one's a little bit more tricky, but there is a zigzag on it. And then the third, the fire, will constantly circle you, but you have to move a half tile at a time as he goes to the bottom left. And as long as you keep stepping off like that in 1/2 tile, he'll continue to circle around you. Then you go and play the Japanese version of this game, and it completely laughs in your face because the patterns are the opposite for the third, for the fire statue.
And that's
so you stand there confused, going, "Well, I'm dead." Okay, great. But,
yeah, I particularly run the Japanese
casually
version. Mostly because for me it was a little easier to practice. One of the major differences between the Japanese and English versions is the text speed. The text speed in the Japanese version is 3 times faster than the English version. It's lightning speed compared to what we're looking at right now. It saves like 9 minutes on the overall run.
There are also, like you alluded to at the beginning there, the first boss, Solid Arm Metal Mantis. He's significantly easier. You just walk up and win. The second boss is a little bit different, not so much more difficult, but Poseidon is easier. There are some easier bosses in the Japanese version, which for some people they find that ironic. The American release would be a more difficult game, but it has happened a few times in the past.
Alright, well, Hulk is now in Act 3. Act 3 is got a very interesting setup where you have a central hub area with the main town, and the goal of this act is to find 4 layers that will release mermaid statues, and each mermaid statue will open up another path to go to a different area in Act 3 that will eventually lead to another mermaid statue, and that pretty much continues on. The main thing to note about some of the enemies, though, in Act 3 are particularly the birds. The RPG jerk birds in this game are actually pretty annoying to deal with if you're not used to the movement. And the enemies that are essentially look like hermit crabs, like a rock. These enemies are incredibly durable. It takes a huge amount of time to try to fight them with the sword. And it's probably the main reason why you never ever want to die here. Not having gems to deal with the rock enemies are terrible.
Yeah, dying to the 3 statues can also leave you scrambling for this entire first area because you won't have gems. You wouldn't have a bottle to. There is an item in the game called the bottle that
it's called the strange
will allow you
bottle.
to keep your gems. Yeah, strange bottle that will allow you to keep all your gems when you die, as long as it's equipped.
But it's a consumable item, so the moment you use it, it's gone.
It's gone. So if you do die to the lion heads and you don't have a strange bottle, you are coming into this entire area with nothing but your sword, and those rocks will just eat your time, and they're very difficult to deal with a sword. They're very tedious.
Yeah. Now, the Hulk is now underwater, and even though he just picked up the bubble armor, which would let him breathe underwater, he's not going to equip it because he's going to be performing another death warp, and you don't die instantly when you're without the armor underwater. So he's taking advantage of this to take additional damage to speed up the whole death warp process.
A whopping 5 seconds. But that's everything. It's speedrunning.
Yeah, this is a pretty well optimized game, so anytime you see like a 5-second time save is generally really good. And because they're doing a bunch of death warping, again, gem drops are super important. They start when they die, they lose all their gems, and then there's a couple enemies they're just hoping drop a significant amount of gems so they can spam mentor more. Because they have more of those so much fun hermit crab / rock monsters to deal with.
Yeah, you'll see in I believe it's the third in the Durian volcano area. Your gem drops actually dictate if you can even finish it. So you need
there is a safety
a couple.
strat
There's
you can do.
backup strat, but to even go for the speed run, you require gem drops. Otherwise, you'll be looking at maybe even backup strat, picking up the crit sword. But all three should be skipping the crit sword today.
Yeah. The only swords they're going to be picking up are they get the lucky blade later. One thing to note actually about swords in this game is swords and armor have a level requirement in order to equip and use them. Armor is straight up, you cannot wear this armor until you are a certain level. Swords on the other hand, you can equip them, but you cannot swing them. However, you can still poke your sword out while strafing, and that will still damage. This is very important later on because they're going to have to equip certain swords that they can only just poke with. Because there are certain enemies in this game, spirits, like ghosts, and metal enemies that can only be damaged by a particular blade.
This game very much follows the RPG element rule, the golden rule, that you will be underleveled. Significantly underleveled when you hit a certain area.
Yeah. At the end of the game, though, they are required to be at least level 24, I believe?
4. Yes.
Yeah.
Level 24 is a requirement for the soul armor and the soul blade.
Which are mandatory in order to finish the game. Alright. The Hulk is getting ready to go to the volcano area shortly. The volcano area is is definitely the hardest part of this particular act. There's these random fireballs that are raining from the sky, and I mean that by random. It's entirely possible that these things will hit you, and there's not a lot you can do about it. They don't do a ton of damage, but a little bit, enough of them over a long time. It can go very badly because they are going to have to walk over lava, which does a ton of damage. It's like every second they lose 4 units of health.
I have just seen on Hulk's stream that he got a level up at potentially the worst possible time, right before closing the monster lair. He wanted to death warp there, and he had to deal with an entirely full health bar instead of having 1 health left. Coming back from opening the spawn, he would have had, I believe, 4 health. Instead, he had to deal with 16, so that's time loss right there. Even they've essentially gotten this run down to the point where they have their death warps and their levels set at very specific times, so that A, they can have a second health bar to help them get through horrible parts like Durian, or B, have their life low enough so that they can death warp instantly. And in that particular case, he leveled up just a bit too early.
Killed too many Donkey Kongs.
This is the longest area by far in the game, and it's my personal favorite.
It's pretty fun to do once you get the hang of it.
When you get a good St. Ellis, you really like it. When you get a bad St. Ellis, it's up there with Leo's Lab.
Yeah, the birds, the rock enemies. God, if you don't have magic for the rock enemies, I can't stress that enough. Because I have lost so much time to not having gems for them.
Oh, don't worry, I'm about to do them without any gems. I just died.
You can try to catch them on a corner, and if you can get them on that 45 degree, and they'll just sit there and do nothing, and then you can sit there and slash away. But it still takes a dozen slashes to kill them, so they're just annoying enemies.
Yeah, that was a really unfortunate death for Stinger. And remember, he has to kill, even though he took out a couple of the rocks, he has to kill them. They all respawn since he didn't take them all out.
Does a good job on manipulating them.
Yeah, the manipulating the rock enemies is actually really difficult because they, at least for me, they always felt very aggressive. And because
and as soon as they latch onto you, they don't let go.
nah,
Hulk with a great one shot there on the rocks. It's quite difficult to line up one light arrow shot on that.
again, it's what makes the light arrow one of the best spells in the game, is just the fact that it can hit so many enemies with one shot.
So you see he has 36 gems. He needs 40 for this next monster layer, so he needs... well, he'll have 4 shots, so he should, as long as he gets single gem drops, he should be okay.
Yeah, if you're wondering, if you're thinking, oh boy, those raining fireballs sure look annoying as heck, why would I want to deal with that? This is another case where the game does give you an opportunity to find somebody that makes it so where they're never an issue again, but yeah, that's obviously slow.
In the corner there, right before his death warp, you saw a chest and it has another sword, and that used to be part of the route. In fact, Everhate was playing around with making the TAS a lot better by the sword that's in that chest is called the crit sword, and it has a 1 in 16 chance to one-shot kill the enemy. And it's based on random frame. It's every 16th frame. If you swing the sword on that frame, it kills the enemy. So he was playing around with the thought of making a TAS with only the crit sword for the rest of the game, and killing enemies on every 16th frame. Would have been pretty fun. But like everybody's projects, they kind of take a back burner after a while.
Yeah. In this game, there obviously you can't count on something like that in this run, and not too long in the beginning of the next act, they're just going to get a better sword altogether.
A little shout out to Mooney in the chat. Moonis liked to push Everhate a little. Half the time he was kidding, half the time he wasn't.
Half the time he was like, wait, you're actually doing it? Yeah, some of the more crazier stuff that Everhate has done with this game could be partially blamed because of Moonis, but hey, it's not like Moonis did it. Everhate actually did some pretty crazy stuff, like the low percent run of this game, where it literally you pick up the minimal required equipment and items in order to finish the game. That means no medical herbs, no upgraded sword other than the ones that are necessary to kill certain enemies.
Yeah, I think people underestimate that run. I mean, at the end of the day, the 4 Zerkers was probably harder, but low percent in this game is not easy whatsoever. And, wow, he was just really good at absolutely masochistic runs.
Yep, I will never attempt. That said, I will continue running this game in the future. I think this is definitely one of the more fun speedrun games I have recently picked up. It's amazingly simple, but there's a lot of skill, and there's a lot of really good satisfying. It's like, a while back, Stinger was using the light arrow to line up shots to kill 3 or 4 of the rock enemies with one successful light arrow shot, and when you pull that off, it feels so damn good. It's a really satisfying experience to run this game and to run it well.
Oh yeah.
It's a game that's incredibly easy to pick up. By your 3rd run, it starts feeling natural. It really, you can get into the swing of things so quickly in this game, yet it can train wreck so quickly.
It's also obviously it's not a very long game either. It only, like the current world record is an hour and 36 minutes, and I forget the seconds already.
I think
because
34.
it was just recently made.
Today?
Yeah,
I think it's 136.34, which, like Everhate never got to get back to the Japanese run. The Japanese run is, I think last we checked, it was about 11 minutes faster, typically. But his last JP run was about 136, so Hulk has cut the JP Everhate. That said, Everhate was much more capable of a 130 or a 128. It was there. Even his 140, 140.08, I believe is the time. He pulled off, no light armor, things that were in theory were. I mean, one misstep and you were dead.
It was insane.
in theory, insane. In practice, it was
Also insane.
Yeah, it was even worse. But his 140.08, it skipped light armor, which proved that it's possible. But I mean, one misstep in the second half or the very last section of Leo's lab, one misstep and you're dead. So it's a difficult proposition to pull off.
Alright,
Jenya heading to an area where Everhate always talked about one of his favorite items in this game was the Thunder Ring, and how you only got to use it once, and how that was kind of unfair, because it's a really cool concept, and that
when you have
you
a
can't
Thunder
damage
Ring,
these enemies.
Yeah. The Thunder Ring, when it's equipped, will call down fire near these very pyramid-looking stones.
Jenya's on his way to him right now. And you have some metal-based gorillas. These apes up here, the gray ones, can't be killed with your current sword. So you have to rely on this Thunder Ring. However, you have to lure them all over to one of those gold pyramids that you saw. So you'll see them kind of pattern, get them all in a group here. Slowly bring them over.
I do not. It's an interesting concept, and I'm kind of glad they didn't go too crazy with it, because I'd be annoying just have to deal with random enemy AI patterns all the time.
It's a nice little break from the norm.
True enough.
However, it's used once. For the rest of the game, forget that item.
Yeah, it's very niche. Now they're gonna come up. The Hulk's already made his way to the start of the next act. Something we didn't mention: the boss of the third act is pretty easy. There's not a whole lot I can say about it. It was really self-explanatory. But one of the things the Hulk picked up on the way to the boss was the super bracelet. The super bracelet is an accessory that, when you have it equipped, doubles your attack power. Just straight up doubles.
You'll see 3 rings: the power, the defense, and later on is the super. The power is, but it misrepresents it with translation woes back in the day. It says that it increases it by 2, but it actually increases it by double. So people used to think that the super bracelet was useless because it only says increases power and defense by 2, but it's actually times 2. So it's quite handy. It makes the rest of the run.
Yeah, sorry if I got the name confused there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I particularly run the Japanese version, and one of the things about the Japanese version is you really don't read the text anymore. You just look at the
mash through
symbols. Everything in this game, all the items has a picture of them, so you just look at the picture and be like, oh, it's that thing.
So we have 3 successful Durian death warps, it looks like. It's one of the most difficult parts of the game.
Finally, a place I didn't die.
Anybody new to this game, by the way, if you're not hearing ActRaiser, you are hearing Soul Blazer. But they like to reuse a lot of sound effects.
Yeah, and if you're playing ActRaiser, you're hearing Soul Blazer. It's something that was very common
for that era.
The name of the game developer, I completely brain farted.
Quintet.
Quintet, yes. Quintet reused a lot of game assets. And to be fair, it was something very common back in the heyday of the Super Nintendo and the NES, and it made sense. Making games was not a cheap expense.
Yeah, especially these guys. They were 3 guys that broke off from the Ys series. They were the coders for the first 2 games, and they really couldn't afford the lavish lifestyle that some of the other developers had at the time. They couldn't even afford a proper soundboard, so they had to reuse a lot of their sound effects because they were cash poor. But they sure made some gems.
Yeah, not to mention, it's amazing as well as they did, considering they had 0 advertising budget.
Yeah, every single Quintet game I remember playing live, and I mean, I'm long in the tooth here. I owned an Atari, but every game I played was word of mouth. I don't remember really ever seeing an advertisement for ActRaiser or Illusion of Gaia had quite a push, but the rest of them were pretty much word of mouth.
I never got into any of these games until I was introduced to most of them via speedrunning. I grew up in a very rural neighborhood, so anything I grew up with was either from a little rental store that had maybe like 10 games,
or trading, or those were the days. Okay, anyway, before anybody starts picking on me for being old, FDI has my back. I see him in the chat.
But the next Act 4, the mountain. One of its obvious gimmicks is that it's covered in ice, and yes, you do slip around all over the place. You do, the Hulk has already gotten the mushroom shoes. With the mushroom shoes equipped, you don't, walking on ice is no longer a thing. However, it takes up your accessory slot, so you're no longer wearing the power bracelet. And you really want to have the power bracelet on almost all the time.
See Hulk dealing with whiz robes right now. They're not actually called whiz robes, but we forget what they're actually called. They are annoying. and they are proximity based. If you get a little too close to them, then that's when they start triggering their teleportation, and then you just regret everything. But as long as you keep out of the way,
when they start teleporting all over the place.
Yeah, they luckily, tend to pick, I believe it's 8 tiles. Within 8 tiles of you, they can go anywhere.
Yeah. On top of that, there's these bat enemies which circle around you. Their AI works very much. They'll circle around you. They'll try to get close, and you kind of have to like manipulate them to get them closer if you're trying to hit them with a sword. This is why it's this area is another place where your gem count matters so much. You want the magic to take out the bats easily. You need the magic in order to snipe the Wizrobe from afar so they don't go teleporting all over the place.
The old route, sometimes the crit sword would help you out there, but now, without it, you really need your gems.
Yeah, luckily they did pick, this is the act where you get the magic armor, besides from having a really nice defensive boost, which at times feels so good to have. It cuts all gem use in half, and the Hulk recently just picked up the Lucky Blade. The Lucky Blade increases the odds of getting a larger gem drop. See, already right from the get-go, he kind of got like a big gem drop, and hopefully he gets, yeah, he's doing pretty good with gems. Hopefully it's the same for everybody else, because sometimes the Lucky Blade can be not so lucky.
That's okay. He's still gonna get 16 dives.
Yep.
We'll touch on that later.
Oh, trust me.
But for anybody, any longtime friend of Everhate, you know, he had the best of luck at getting the worst of luck, and this game is no exception.
Whether it be in the form of unfortunate gem drops or a particular boss that is coming up in the next act.
You only ever need to know 3 words when it came to Everhate, and that was triple run fail.
Since this is as good a spot as any, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the story of this game, I'll give you a quick synopsis. There was this king. This king was married a very greedy queen, and the queen encouraged the king to force a scientist to build a contraption to communicate with essentially what is the devil, Death Toll, the main antagonist of this game. And he made a deal with Death Toll to sell every living thing on this planet for a single gold piece each. Nice guy. You are a disciple of essentially God, and your job is to free everybody, stop Death Toll, be a hero. Good luck.
It also becomes a recurring theme, and why some people might say that there's a Soul Blazer trilogy. If you're gonna say it's a trilogy, you might as well say it's a quadrilogy. But it's only in the common theme of, you know, resurrection, and it's Turbo, the dog / goat.
Yeah,
but
the whole.
You might as well throw Grand Stream in there and just call it 4 games. It's a quad. But there's no real trilogy.
Yeah, most of the games usually have something to do with a higher power in some form.
I mean, it's very similar in the way of with Final Fantasies. They're always being Sid, or it was just their little inside theme to have turbo in all 3 games, whether it be the dog or the goat.
Yeah. I'm really disappointed that nobody here today saved any of the goats in the first act. I am sad and disappointed.
This section that Hulk is in right now is it's a combination of great gem management and a ton of whiz robes, and it's just a matter of constantly being out of range. And as long as you can maintain that, then you're just fine here.
Yeah, he's getting close to the boss in this area. The reason why he's killing all these enemies, like, he could go straight to the boss right now, pretty much, and get that over with. But these enemies he's dealing with will cause the king of the dwarves to show up, as well as 2 dancing grandmothers that are absolutely required to finish the game, regardless of a plot device or not. You save the dancing grandmothers.
This is yet another boss fight that's significantly different in the Japanese version, because you have a second outcrop on the sides. You can get to a point where you can also slash and cause significantly more damage. Even sometimes getting it done in 2 cycles, whereas here you are definitely 3 or 4.
To be perfectly honest, after the last couple bosses, the 4th boss is a joke.
It's a cakewalk. It's a nice breather.
Super breather.
I mean, the 2 hardest bosses are the first 2 bosses in the game, save for maybe the second last boss, but that's really only because of trolling. Otherwise, the hardest test in the boss fights is the first 2 bosses of the game. So in that way, it's nice to get them over with and enjoy the rest of the run.
It really is. It's definitely one of those games that gets more fun as the game goes on. It's a really nice payoff, essentially. And it's also the case where the levels themselves, rather than the boss fights, are some of the more challenging aspects of the game.
Very much so, where you will see in the next area. Something you'll see on Stinger's run right now is with the slopes. Sometimes these ice slopes can cause havoc, and we haven't really figured it out yet, but sometimes being on the ice slope and walking up and having the screen scroll might set the trigger on the monster layer off by like half a pixel. And sometimes you end up having to dance around the monster layer just to try to trigger it. You can't quite find the pixel. It can be very, very annoying.
Alright, with that, Lil Hulk is pretty much done with this act and is making his way to the next one, where you'll deal with Leo's Lab, which is arguably the best song in the game.
It's the greatest area.
Unfortunately, the greatest area comes with the worst enemies, and by that I mean mice.
So this is where you'll see the first area where you cannot swing the sword. You have to rely on stabbing everything to death. I mean,
yeah, most of the enemies
save having the lucky sword equipped, but that's really only for convenience. In the next area, it's out of necessity that you have to stab everything to death, and they move pretty quick. So it's quite it's a dance of tapping the controller, almost you're stutter stepping constantly. Quite fun.
Yeah, I think here you have to use Densetsu Sword. Most of the enemies here are immune to magic and are made of metal, so you have to use the Sengetsu Sword. You'll often see them using very very precise movements because the enemies in this area are surprisingly fast. The lawnmower enemies that can fly from beam to beam can catch you off guard if you're not prepared for it. The mice coming up are really fast, and they always go in a set pattern. But the thing is if you do not kill one of them as they're running by, you're gonna have to sit and wait for them to make their rounds.
Kiss a minute of goodbye.
Yes, it's horrible.
Something that's one strat that Everhate had further on is he keeps a monster layer open just in case he misses the one, and that way he can just step on the monster layer and reset them all. That way he doesn't have to wait for the full minute for them to walk around. But missing these, and it's very, very precise. You don't have very much time at all to kill them. You must be. It's not frame perfect, but you have about 3 frames, and if you're off, then you're not going to have enough time to kill them. And that's you'll see up here when he's crab walking sideways and trying to keep them in his sword's hitbox for as long as possible. Right here, that's not very much time.
No, and it's very nerve-wracking. It's easily one of the...
It's very difficult, and one miss is you might as well kiss 45 seconds to a minute goodbye.
Yeah, there's just they move so fast that there's no point to try and chase them down.
If you're gonna pick an enemy to accidentally take damage from, those are not them, because they would cause 7 damage. The little lawnmower tank type things. They're the worst to take damage from, so you definitely do not want to step into their hitbox.
Yeah, Leo's lab is arguably the hardest area in the game.
It's very precise, takes a lot of practice.
And there's a lot of necessary damage. You don't have the ice armor here, so there's a lot of floors that will damage you a lot. It's essentially like walking on lava.
I think I put more practice into Leo's lab, the basement, than the rest of the game. Just to get it down.
It absolutely needs it.
It's quite, and there's little nuances here. Like you'll see, Hulk is only stepping. He's one tile left. If you go right to the monsters layer, you have to stutter step the whole way. But if you go where he was, they'll do a quick rush at you. You can walk at full speed. It's little differences like that that make it a little bit easier, actually, to run this area. But there's no easy.
No, this is about as ruthless as it gets. There's backup strats for just about everywhere else in this game except this moment. It's either you do well or you don't.
See if I can get. I think I lost Jenya's stream. I'm just getting it back up. There we go. So now we have Jenya joining in on the basement fun.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. This is where a lot of time gets to be lost or gained, depending on how well they do.
That's and usually the kind of my golden rule in a race is just survive. That's all you need.
Just
survive it. As long as you one life it, great. You're ahead of the game as far as I'm concerned.
Alright, now that he's done with the with Leo's basement, he's gonna go into the model towns. The model towns, thankfully, do not have any mandatory enemies he needs to kill that are in the middle, so he's going right back to the Lucky Blade, so he can swing it. As well as potentially get some good gem drops.
It's worth noting this was Everhate's absolute favorite area.
It's a really kind of, neat idea. You literally become small on this giant model city, and there's all kinds of little mini toy soldiers that spawn out of lairs. One thing to note about this area, though, this is the kind of the gimmick of this area is some of the enemies here are invisible, and you have to kill some of these invisible enemies in order to proceed through the game.
Yeah, you're relying on looking at the tiles of the background to know where the 6 enemies that you have to kill are. Otherwise, you require a magician's soul to be able to look at what you're actually shooting. And just like every other one, it goes around the ball that follows you.
Yeah, but you have to talk to a certain door, and yes, I'm not kidding, you have to talk to a door, that will give you the ability to see invisible enemies. Unfortunately, they don't unlock the lair that they would have to do that. Honestly, I haven't done that lair in so long, I'm not even sure which one it is anymore.
It's in the first area, and it's actually protected by hidden catapults. So you have to kill little toy soldiers and something else is hitting you and you don't know why until you actually get the magician's soul or the helper soul that will show you what's actually killing you. So
yeah, back when I was doing this part of the 12-hour challenge, I remember I believe it was Gentatsu and Stinger. They were like, "Wow, we actually get to see these enemies for the first time."
this is a very, very fun area, though. Casually, this is where the game gets fantastic.
It's a really fun area to go to. It's not too hard, it's not too easy, it's just right.
And it gives you a lot of breathing room from the basement. Because the next part of the basement isn't easy either.
Yeah, unfortunately, Stinger's having a really rough time of it today.
Well, I'm just taking all the deaths for Hulk and Genya.
What a sport.
Clearly, I blame Everhate.
That would be a good choice. As long as Hulk and Genya promise to take all the deaths away at Lemon Break.
I'm probably getting those out of the way too. I'm getting quite a store of them right now.
It's a great showcase of how easily a run can be lost in this, though. It's an easy to pick up speedrun, but it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, again, you're you're underleveled, you're not wearing the best armor, and a lot of these enemies can be very difficult to deal with if you're not used to their patterns. It's a fun speedrun to learn, but boy, it's gonna be a rocky start no matter which way you look at it.
He's just setting up the RPG limit break run. He's gonna cut the 140 live marathon. You might even get to see the magic bell.
I don't think that's happening, actually.
No, it's not. For those who are not familiar with the magic bell in this game, it's essentially it's kind of like a completion bonus type thing where there's these magic seals that you can collect throughout the game. I forget the exact number of them, but if you collect them all, you unlock the magic bell, and the magic bell makes it so where you essentially get an infinite amount of gems. You can cast spells as much as you want. Though, if you ask me, it's kind of why do you bother even doing this in the first place? Because by the time you get the magic bell, you're done with the game anyways.
Yeah, it's a little unnecessary. It's at that point you're essentially getting 10 drops off every single enemy. Like, by the World of Darkness, it's just nothing but 5 and 10 drops. So you'll have 200, 300, 400 gems within no time. And if you were gonna put the extra effort to get the bell, with the extra enemies that you're killing, you're probably going to be sitting at 600 gems regardless.
Yeah, to go back a little earlier to when the Hulk was fighting the boss of this act. I forget the name of this enemy, but essentially this boss is incredibly easy once you understand how incredibly broken just using the stabbing attack in this game is. You just line yourself up to the left of him, to the top down, and just follow him as he goes down below the screen, and you will kill him in no time. If you're a little unlucky, you might see him go off and do one of his other attacks off screen, which cost a few seconds, but it's pretty uncommon with this strategy. So yeah, good boss.
I only have the audio for Stinger's stream, so now I finally get to hear.
I have it
The
muted
greatness.
because I would hear my own voice and your voice through the stream, so...
Oh, it's such a good song.
It's a really good tune.
The music is exceptionally underrated in this game, but I'm a bit of a quintet fanboy, so
I will argue that it's not like a soundtrack I can listen to like on my phone all the time, but when I'm playing it in this game with what I'm doing in tune with the music, it just sounds great. It's good gameplay music, you know? It's the kind of thing I want to listen to when I'm beating something up.
the game was in '92, so it's pretty good for its time. It was an earlier. I'd still call it kind of the first wave of SNES games, but like second generation probably was late '92 onwards. So this was still pretty much a first gen SNES game.
Yeah. Like it was '91 when the Super Nintendo was really starting to hit its stride.
So Hulk is off to an area with an infamous boss. He is called the Demon Bird, but
Yeah, that might have an implication here.
he
Right
is
now,
the
though,
epitome of Jerk Bird.
yes. The area he's currently dealing with has Ghost in it, and Ghost can only be damaged by the Spirit Sword. Luckily, this game gives you the Spirit Sword really, really quickly in this level. But you can't swing it, so back to poking.
And they also they can be somewhat manipulated to follow a circle around you. As long as you kind of sit northwest or northeast of the monster lair, you can usually get them to the circle around you. But all it takes is one to decide not to.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, there's the lair affects their reappearance location, which is good because trying to deal with the ghost is an incredibly dangerous and random aspect. They can just appear on you from any side, and you just can't move out of the way in time. One of the kind of glitches you can actually do in this game that helps a little bit with the ghost is you can equip a blade you can swing, and then at the end of your swing, go into your inventory and equip the weapon you normally can't swing, and it'll be as though you've swung it.
Just want to point out to Munis that Kenya did not skip the light armor. Just make a note of that, Mooney.
Yeah. One thing I noted about the light armor is I accidentally skipped it too in my PB.
See, I skipped it, or I picked it up and then forgot to equip it, so...
That's another thing that tends to happen as well. It's easy to accidentally forget to equip certain things again. like for example, you equip the medical herb so you don't die when trying to damage those through the fire areas, right? And then, oh yeah, I gotta go back in my inventory and re-equip the power bracelet because I'm like doing crap for damage.
I remember Everhate talking at length about how many runs he had lost by unequipping armor so that he could death abuse faster, only forgetting to re-equip the armor after and then dying inexplicably, and then realizing, oh, right.
And you will die insanely
it's quite
fast.
repeatable. It's very, very fast.
This game, you really start... When you equip a new set of armor in an area, you really feel the difference. You just take so much, you deal so much more damage, you take so much less. It's a very immediate, noticeable effect in this game. Alright, Stinger is heading towards the deal with the model towns. And Genja is heading off to the next boss for him. Oh yeah, I always found this very interesting. These guards that are guarding like these areas where there's monsters coming out of lairs and whatnot. There's these guards like treating it like it's a premier club. Like you can't come in unless you have the VIP card.
And there's actually 2 VIP cards.
Yeah, one thing to note, do not underestimate the samurai-looking enemies here. These guys hit hard. Really hard. Even with the light armor equipped, these guys can be absolutely brutal.
Everything in this room can hurt you very, very quickly. The night horses with the blades coming out, they hurt.
One thing to note about the night horses, their movement is straight out of a chessboard. They will move 1 step forward and 2 steps left or right.
And they have invincibility frames, sorry.
Yeah, you'll notice he went back to equipping the Zantatsu sword. Now that he's level 18, he can equip the Zantatsu sword so he can swing it. Even though the Spirit Blade does more damage, the poke you really can't poke the samurais efficiently and safely enough. You really want to be able to swing your weapon.
Stinger is finishing up Toy Town really quick.
Yeah, the model towns are generally one of the fastest areas in the game. They go by really fast. Especially the second one, because the second model town, you literally have, what, 2 layers you actually have to kill?
All in 6 enemies and 1 layer?
Yeah, just 1 layer in the second model town.
Right.
Very nice, very quick.
And one of the other really annoying enemies to deal with, in this act as well, is these spirit orbs. These orbs are pretty random. You don't have to fight them too much to continue with the game, but they can sometimes catch you off guard if you're not careful. They'll often try to not have them appear on screen, but line up their magic shots to just take them out from afar so that they're not just jumping all over the room. Anyways, Lahulk is heading to the final section of this act, where he talks to the Queen. The Queen's like, hey, I'm not evil. And she, sends him on his way. And he's gonna go deal with Dr. Liu and the RPG Jackbird Storm Eagle.
And that's putting it mildly, because at least Storm Eagle can only dive 8 times. But Jerkbird, Demon Bird, it is, as far as we can tell, perfect 50% chance that he's either going to dive or strafe. And Everhate was lucky enough to get 14 dives in his Japanese PB. So we're kind of hoping one of these, no offense to the 3 runners on stream right now, we kind of hope one of you is going to beat it.
Yeah, we would love to be able to congratulate any one of these runners with the Everhate Award for that.
I'm calling for 16.
By the way, you must have at least 6 dives from RPG Jerkbird to qualify. We will accept no less than 6.
In a run, you're hoping for strafe. In the Japanese version, you're hoping for strafe, and that you get enough hits on the single pass to kill it. But
yeah, he's slightly harder on the Japanese version.
But the typical percentage, you're looking at 25% rate to have a strafe and have ideal. I don't even know the math on 14 dives. But it's pretty Everhate-ish, to say the least.
So, guys, I want you to place your bets now. How many dives is RPG Jerkbird going to do to the Hulk?
I'm gonna go for 6.
$16 or bust.
I'm gonna go...
He's gonna get 0. It's Hulk.
I'm gonna get 3. I'm gonna get 3 dives. It's the Hulk. It can't be that bad for him.
I'm gonna go with 47 so that we can also catch up.
I'm gonna need more than that.
I'm gonna say 0. I'm crazy.
It's a little masochistic of me, but I thoroughly enjoy watching people fight this boss for the first time, because it's painful. It's hard to understand at first fight that his movement is, again, absolutely based on yours, and it's based on your position when he finishes his dive. So he'll dive down and then come back up, but if you're moving up, he'll continue to move up with you. So you're trying to time your movement so that his position is set, and then you can move into the path of contact. So we'll see with Hulk here when he gets 0 dives. He should get 16.
It's not as complicated as it sounds. It's one of those bosses that when you play, you kind of figure out how his AI works.
We have a dive.
Dive.
We have 2.
Count him out.
Alright. 3. 4. 5. Oh, wow. 6. Okay. Fun's over.
How many was it?
It's 6 in a row.
6 dives.
Yeah, it was a total of
And
7.
that's that. Okay, well, you qualify.
Yeah,
Yep,
total of 7.
Congratulations, Clementines. You got it. You guessed correctly.
Hey.
Oh, it was 7?
It was 7, yeah.
Oh, darn.
6 in a row.
6 in a row, and then the last one
had
after
me
the
confused.
first
You
one.
said 6.
That's fantastic, though.
Yeah.
I believe we're gonna guess about 1 somewhere 1 to 2% chance of that happening.
He said 6, guys. I heard him. I'm working with a delay. Alright. Now that RPG Jerkbird has officially done his thing, one of the things you absolutely want to go out of your way to grab is the Super Bracelet. The aforementioned double strength, double defense.
And it's right where the queen was standing. As far as I can tell, as far as I can remember, nobody gives you that hint in the game.
No, there's not even like a shiny spot or a chest there. It's you really just have to be curious enough to be like, I wonder if there's anything over here.
There are a couple things in this game where without someone specifically showing you, or like going old school Legend of Zelda, burning every bush, you will never find. There's one emblem you have no earthly business finding unless you accidentally push on something.
Yeah.
Alright, now the final act of this game is actually very small, but it has a little bit of backtracking. He's gonna go into the final area where you're required to get the final sword of the game and the final armor of the game, as well as he needs to get I forget which one it is, but there's 3 plot-related items in this game. There's one of the plot-related items here, and the aforementioned sword and armor. He needs to get one of the nice things about the sword in this area is that it's capable of killing these spitting panel-looking enemies, and these are the best enemies in the game to farm experience points. They die in 1 hit, and they give like 6,000 experience points per kill or something like that.
That's 4,000. 4,000 per wall, and there's this one section where there will be 3 of them, so you can get 12,000 experience in less than a second, which, compare it to the first level of the game, where you were getting 1, 2, or 4, and the highest enemy in the area is 4 experience. How exponential the experience is in this game. That's how a speedrun is possible in this, because you can grind like 100 and it's going to be roughly 110,000 experience, I think, in under a minute.
Alright guys, Jinja is slowly approaching the next boss. So, place your bets. How many dives will RPG Jerkbird give Jinja? Or Jenya? I keep saying Jinja, I'm sorry.
Are you going to go with 47 for yourself?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
So that can Stinger can get up.
Jenya was the first runner I saw get 0. That was in your... What was that? That was your 143. Jenya used to hold world record in this, by the way. All 3 runners you see on screen are quite capable of being very, very close, even to Hulk's ridiculous time he set today.
Yeah, whether you leave it on my side or not, that's up to you.
I detest the chess horses.
Now, how many he gets, guys? I ain't playing this game. Alright, Hulk's got the Soul Blade now, so he can start killing those things, spinning walls for the XP, but he's not going to do the grinding right away. He's going to activate the shortcut, and he's going to start getting the other necessary plot-related items to get the final spell of the game is required to beat the final boss. He needs to go back to the Fire Temple and kill those essentially will-o-wisp looking enemies that are in the room before the boss of that area. And he needs to go back to the volcano level, part of the third act and kill these Donkey Kongs that are metal.
I'm counting, Jenya. No. Fine.
How many?
You don't qualify.
How many did he get?
Reset.
He ended with 2.
I guess that's fair.
That's typical. It's a very typical run to have like 0 to 4 somewhere in there. It starts getting a little rare to have 6, 7, 8, 14, but that's Everhate territory.
Not everybody can strive to be like Everhate, sadly.
You're gonna see on Hulk stream, he has to talk to this bird right here. And I'm pretty sure the only person I've ever seen in a live run fail this is Everhate. Rarely you can sneak up on the bird, but for whatever reason it doesn't trigger the conversation, and the bird just flies back to the other side. And I've seen Everhate do it 3 times. So it's purely it's his luck again.
Yeah,
I've also
but now that
managed to make it.
they get all these pieces together, they gotta go back, and then we get to see some dancing grandmas. It's literally what you all have been waiting for. Trust me, the dancing grandmas are worth it.
This is also the really fun part casually, or first-time playthrough, where you start realizing that this is how you kill enemies in the earlier sections that you didn't know you could kill before. And that's how you open up a couple secrets, and now you start feeling all genius, because now you can find hidden stuff.
Plus, this place doesn't feel nearly as bad as when you were so low level. He's still gonna death warp here, though. Even though he's got like 180 something gems, it's just gems really aren't that important now.
Gem count is definitely not important. You're going to gain gems back so quickly that you won't be able to burn through them in time. So now, he's going to move back to the grid and go talk to some grandmas.
Yes, that mermaid gave you a red hot stick. Take that as you will.
The queen also put something in your pocket.
Here, dancing grandmas!
That's a grandma hype.
I love the dancing grandma. And so did Everhate.
Yeah, Everhate always made sure to stop, recognize the dancing grandmas.
Alright, final one, guys. How many dives is Stinger going to get from RPG Jerk?
Based on how the rest of the run's been going, it's either going to be 0 or more than 10. I don't think there's anything in between.
I'm saying you're getting one. Just one.
saying 0.
Yeah, I feel a 0.
Yeah, same. That's typically the kind of run where you get 0.
Continue with the armor. Interesting side note, because I've done it. If you forget to install or equip this armor, every time you see the souls on screen, you take damage very quickly. Like I think it's every 2 frames. So you see your health bar just shoot down like mad.
It's like
don't
you're
forget
trying to
equip the
breathe
soul
in
armor.
space or something.
It's instant death, pretty much. So now you're seeing Hulk grind up to 420,000 experience, and it takes no time. And this is when I'm going to talk about how much of a practical joking crew the Quintet is. You need level 24 to be able to hurt Death Toll, because you have to be able to swing the sword to send the Phoenix magic out. At level 24, you also max out your attack power. At level 25, you max out your defense. And from that point on, you only gain 2 HP per level, but not till level 50, which is the max level. Max level is level 47. So 48, 49, and 50 have no purpose whatsoever. And to hit level 50, you need 100 million experience. In other words, you'd have to sit here for 7 hours grinding walls. For no reason whatsoever. It's beautiful.
Ended up with 3 dives.
Clean fight too.
Yeah.
Hulk's dealing with part 1 of Death Toll, and you'll see how he didn't have Phoenix equipped until after the fight was over. Phoenix lags the battle out so badly that you actually want it unequipped for the first part, because it will take 3 times longer to kill him. And so now, if I remember correctly, I believe it's 52 Phoenix birds have to hit Death Toll's head. And his hitbox is enormous.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to hit it. The only time he's weak, though, is after he'll summon 4 random flame towers, which you have to kill. They will always drop gems, so you're never going to worry about running out of gems during this fight. But after you kill 4, he opens up his big mouth, spits out 3 fireballs in a very trident formation, and you can attack him during that. And honestly, that's about it. Death Toll's final form is really pathetic, to be perfectly honest.
Unless you skip the super bracelet.
Yeah, then it's a deal.
Yeah, without super bracelet, it's actually fairly scary. That laser attack he does during where the flame towers are spawning are actually really hard to dodge.
If I remember correctly, too, this is going way back, between Wraith and Everhate, they had a difference of opinion on this fight. Wraith insisted that while those lasers were out, you did not swing your sword because the lag was just too unbearable. So he tried doing a lagless fight, whereas Everhate said, as long as you get the health down, as long as you hit him 52 times, do it as quickly as possible. We never really kind of got to the bottom of that as to which one was faster, but Wraith always ran deathless, so it kind of didn't matter in the long run.
And there we go.
So great time by Hulk.
Yeah, like
GG, Hulk.
139.25 looked like.
I didn't expect anything less.
That much? I timed 138.49.
Yeah, I got 138.49.15.
Yeah, that's what I had.
It's a great run, Hulk.
It was pretty good, yeah. I didn't have any major mistake.
That's pretty good with 6 dives in a row.
Yes.
Yes, now the Hulk. Entertain us by talking about Stinger and Jenja.
Well, I don't know because I don't have the stream in front of me. What could I say?
Well,
I think-
what made you want to run Soul Blazer in the first place?
In the first place, I think it is just a game that I really liked, and I was already well into IOG, Illusion of Gaia, which is more or less the sequel of Soul Blazer, and I wanted to give it a try. It's a game that I discovered it thanks to emulation. Thought, well, yeah, that's a really cool ARPG. It's my type of game. It's not too long. The speedrun looks cool. And Genya had the world record by the time. At that time, it was 1:43.
Yeah, it was like a 1:43.15 or
Something like that.
that was a 0 dive too.
Yeah, I don't blame you for having to go to emulation for this. Unfortunately, this is a game that's a pretty hard to find title for a physical copy, and it has not seen a release on Virtual Console either.
Yeah.
This is a $100 game in Canada.
Yeah, the game is really pricey if you're going for US version, I think, or European version.
Yeah, the Japanese version is pretty cheap, but the US version, not so much.
The Japanese version, Soul Blader, it's actually I find it to be a little bit more fun. Plus being roughly 11 minutes faster, it's a little favorable. And being like I got a full boxed, complete and boxed version. Stinger just showed us what happened when you don't put soul armor on.
Oops.
And it's fast. The Japanese version, I got the full complete and box for I think it was $6. So it's absolutely worth picking up the Japanese version. Or like a lot of people that will just run it on SRL and emulate it. Hulk emulates it, so it's quite easily runnable that way too.
Yeah, granted, as long as you're using a proper emulator for it.
Yeah, make sure you're not running 143 or ZSNES. I'm Canadian, sorry. ZSNES, yeah.
I'm using BizHawk, so I guess I'm alright in that regard.
Yeah, BizHawk is probably your ideal emulator.
Yeah. Either way, if anybody here, even the ones that are currently still doing this as part of the open entry race, is interested in continuing to learn this game or pick it up themselves, we highly encourage you to do so. Obviously, we have both written notes by Stinger, as well as a video tutorial that was made by Everhate himself. So there's lots of useful information to help you get yourself on the right track to being a competent Soul Blazer runner.
Yeah, big thanks to Stinger because he put together very good notes, very good walkthrough of the game, and really quickly, just for this occasion. That's really cool. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
that's a lot of fantastic work by Stinger.
Yeah, a lot of people have been using that. So.
It's great to see. It's gonna be great to see this run in RPG Limit Break too. Very cool, like one of the lead-off runs as well, which is it's great to see.
Yep. I highly encourage that everybody tunes into RPG Limit Break coming up May 9th. Not that far away, guys.
Less than 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
See the grind on Genya's side there, and all you gotta hit is 420. 420 Soul Blaze it. And once you hit, and once you hit 420,000, you're in the clear.
Yep. 420 Soul blazing it.
I wonder how the other people are doing. I know a few people have entered completely blind or semi-blind. Yes.
Yeah, the semi-blind runners have done maybe like 1 to 2 runs beforehand. I remember we were talking how El Megas, casually got a sub 2 hour or something.
Oh yeah, casually. No practice involved there. Megas is Megas. He's just good.
Megas is here to run your game, and now he's going to make you feel bad because he's so good.
Don't want him to run your game. You just don't.
I would very much like to see Hulk and Megas go up against each other in this. 6
would
months
be
from now,
pretty
have it
epic.
like sub 135s.
Alright,
135. That would be amazing.
That's a pretty ideal run.
Yeah, I guess so.
Genja's just about done.
Got one last chance at the Everhate bird troll here in Greenwood.
Nah.
Good game, Jenya.
Good GG Genja.
I guess
GG.
considering that I did not have the time to practice at all, it's decent.
Well done.
At least I didn't die unintentionally, but still a couple mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah, I got
that's
you there.
Really, really good.
And Stinger's heading back, bringing us the dancing grandmas. Why is there not a dancing grandmother emo, guys? Please.
Yeah, there should be.
You see on Hulk's stream, this ending is a little interesting. If the difference between the Japanese and American, somehow Quintet sidestepped a lot, and I mean a lot, of the censorship issues that Nintendo had back in the day. They had numerous references to death. I mean, Illusion of Gaia has a couple pretty morbid scenes, and they all got through without censorship. I don't know how. But this is one thing that they demanded change, and that's Lisa at the end of the American version. In the Japanese version, she's holding her hands like she's praying. And of all things that is in the trilogy, they had a problem with that. So they insisted that they change her. So they actually made her eyes smaller and changed the praying kind of format and just put her arms down by her side. Of all things to change in this game.
Yeah, Nintendo was a bit weird with censorship back then. And even today, censorship with Nintendo is often a little unclear sometimes.
It's a little inconsistent at times.
Alright, with that, Stinger is on his way to take on Deathtoll, but first he must get to level 24 as well and reach 420.
420 blaze it. With this of the top 3 runners in this game race coming to a close, we would like to take this moment to again thank Everhate for all the contributions he's done for the speedrunning community, not just this game, but that he has made such an impactful moment in so many people's lives in this community that
we can continue to blame him and not feel bad about it.
Stinger had a very, very optimized grind. It's always fun when you get that perfect cycle.
I'm just looking forward to being able to hear the credits music, because arguably I love the credits music in this game. It's the kind of music that you want to hear at the end of every game.
I'm gonna go ahead and snoop on some other folks that are running this right now. Like Voltuz, let's see how he's doing.
Yeah, I should also check out the other people. I want to see how Kroik is doing.
Yeah, Kroik, he's a fantastic Terranigma runner. Borderline world record IOG runner.
And supremely good at Secret of Evermore.
Yeah, Kroik is a beast. There's Van, so...
Yeah, he used to be...
at the end of St. Ellis.
Oh.
And there we go.
GG Stinger! Congratulations.
GD!
Attaboy Stinger.
We made it.
Alive!
Somewhat alive.
So, you know, the whole nature of this. I want to tease the hell out of you for the.
Oh, don't worry, I earned it.
You definitely got Everhated.
Yes, we'll just say it. Stinger, congratulations! You have earned the Everhate Award.
Yeah, sorry, Hulk. It was 7 dives or not. We can't give it to you with a 138.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah,
die
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
6 or 7 times. That was a run.
But I just want to like emphasize that it's so easy to die in this game. Like if you just do a very tiny misstep somewhere, you're just done at some points, and it's very easy to die in this game. So anything can happen. You can easily die in a marathon run. So
Yeah, there's a few safeties that you want to pick up. Like, don't skip the super bracelet, or don't skip the herb before durian thing.
And that's not even counting all the little other things that can potentially go wrong. Getting a bad gem drop in the mountain is terrible.
Yeah, for new runners to the game, I still recommend even the crit sword. The original, like Everhate's original route is it's a much safer. Even Rafe's Deathless route is just to get into the swing of things, just to enjoy the game. But then afterwards, you can start getting crazy and go all moony.
On top of that, there's all kinds of little things that, you know, if you play this game casually, there's definitely safer strats. I know one of the things I used to do when I was learning this, I would, in the first act of the game, there's a lair you can bust open, and it'll cause this tool shed to pop up, and the lady inside will give you a medical herb if you're not carrying one. And I would use this whenever I would get into a situation in Leo's lab where I absolutely needed one.
Peeking in on Poexel, he's in the second half of Leo's lab basement. 155. So I'm wondering, he should be able to cut his guess of 3 hours. Who else? See, Krog is level 14 in Mountain of Souls. Let's peek up on the casual Elmagus.
Doesn't look like he will get sub 2 quite easily this time.
I'd say Wetzel's beating him. He's
Yeah.
first half of Leo's lab. Okay, well, he's not casually cutting the 2 then.
So that pretty much wraps up this Soul Blazer race, guys. Or at least this, between these 3 runners. There are still others out there that are racing this game right now, and I can't think of better raid targets. So, who out of the runners out there of the Soul Blazer race should we raid with?
Who should we pick on?
Yes. I'm gonna leave that to your choice, guys. I'm not good at this decision thing.
The problem is, any of these guys would be good to raid.
Yeah, that is Poexel.
Yeah, that's very true.
I would say Krog though, because he's my boy. But that's just my opinion.
I just want to take a snapshot that there are currently a lot. Let's see. If I go based on following the game, there is currently 589 Soul Blazer players right now. Beautiful.
Whoa!
Viewers, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Honestly, guys, I would go out there and raid each and every one of these guys if you could, because each of them deserve to get to be encouraged to continue on with their run.
So there's Poexel, Elmagus, High Spirits, Infinite Mystery, Squid, Millium, Voltus, Krog, Iceplug, Drunken Van Daren, Cursed Gamer 11, Fan 666, Metanite, Skarsnickus, Falionator, Nakuri, Zalesium, Skaz, Cornelu, and Leon. That's all the people I see because I follow Soul Blazer on Twitch. It's giving me a lot of people.
Yeah, I have it's quite a few viewers. It's impressive. I like it.
Yeah.
There was 23 entrants in the race, which means Jenya should have won, but I don't know what happened there. It was kind of a given.
I never thought about that.
Fate was on your side, man. You let Fate down.
Shame on me.
Ah, well.
An annual race would be kind of cool.
I agree. I think a yearly race would be fun. I also think in his honor we should continue the relay race, because now that we have quite a few more people that have run Soul Blazer, maybe more people will want to pick it up.
Get the
Sure.
the quintet relay race essentially.
I think last time we just called it the Soul Blazer Trilogy.
I think that's already like 2 years ago, isn't it? Or even more.
I would love to
It
participate
was a
to
while
that.
back.
Well, Hulk, you're your own team.
Yeah, so it would be a one-man team.
And he would still beat the other teams.
That's not fair, even then. Yeah.
Yeah, because he kind of has the record in all 3 games.
Let's
No,
make
I
it
don't,
that.
I don't have the record for turning though.
Oh, you
took
don't
it.
anymore? Oh,
Yeah, Kroy
good.
got it recent.
Someone
Krog
who's
was
running
grinding
you.
really hard. Hulk is human.
Alright guys, since we can't host anybody, maybe we could just link a few recommended channels in the chat to go check out.
Let's rate everyone with the good luck and or blame Everhate.
I could
Yeah,
link a few
great.
people in the chat. That's alright.
I would just say all of us pick someone to raid and we'll just post it in chat.
I'm
Alright.
also going to post something else in chat here. That's the link of every single person running Soulblazer, right? And that way, if
That's a
you want to
good
have
idea.
your pick, or maybe you should visit more than one. It's great to see that everybody's coming out to support Everhate's memory. I had quite a bit of fun here today. It's great to see
Yeah,
everybody
so-
show support.
Was a lot of fun, guys. I'm glad to have been able to be a part of this.
Thank you guys very much for commentating and doing an amazing job on the commentary as well. So
Yeah.
thank you guys
Thanks
for
a
that
lot
as
for
well.
Thanks a lot.
Yep, I hope that it will be just as good coming up at RPG Limit Break in a few weeks.
Stinger's going to chuck down a memorable run.
Hopefully more memorable than this one.
The Everhate Award, you can't take that away, Stinger.
Yeah, that's an honor. Well, with that, I'm gonna step off and enjoy some more streams. Hope everybody enjoyed the 3-way race on RPG Limit Break.
I definitely have had
It's
a good
great to
time.
see Ragnar in the chat too. A lot of our comfort and what we even knew about the situation came from Rangar. So thank you for passing on some hard information to us all. We really appreciate that.
Alright, I'll probably see if you, it's gonna be a lot all over the place, but I'll probably be hitting up Poexel's chat first. See you guys there.
I'll be everywhere. I'll see all of you.
Alright, thank you guys for the race.
Yeah, thanks. That was really fun, like always.
Great
Thanks
job,
for
Paul.
watching.
Yeah. Gonna sign off. Bye.